Welcome back to another video right here on Free Will Photos. Today we're going to be editing a photo that I took at the Build Expo back in September, and we're going to make a black and white type of edit. It's going to be a little bit of glow, it's going to be a little bit of blur, it's going to be really fun. I don't know exactly what to call it, it's just something that I came up with. If you like this or you find value, then consider hitting that like button. Now, of course, I'm working inside of ON1 Photo Raw 2024, so if you want to pick up a copy, consider using my coupon code FreeWillPhotos20 to save some money at checkout. Now, let's jump into the edit. So here's the overall photo. Let me show you what we came into the editing bay with. And this is what we are going to try to recreate. Now, you guys already know I'm not 100% perfect at recreating, but look, there's only 3 filters on here. Can't be that hard for me to recreate this. So let's go ahead and click on the original. And the original, you can see I needed to crop the image. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick, because I don't like this light source up here. And there's also a leg to a light stand or whatever is going on back here. There's a stand leg. So let's just go ahead and pull that. And I'm on freeform because I'm more concerned about the effect in this image than I am the composition crop. And that could be backwards or incorrect, whatever you want to call it. But that's just the truth. I'm more concerned about the effect, at least at this point. I may come back and recrop this to make it make sense, maybe send it in the Photoshop if I really feel like I need to modify this a little bit further. But I'm just going to go ahead and hit the check mark there. And there is our image that we're going to start working on, cropped and ready to go. So the first thing that I didn't do anything in develop. This is one of those examples where I'm not using Brilliance AI. And that's personally because I'm making a black and white image. I find that it's hit or miss on black and white images. So I personally like to just make my black and white and then look at it and say, okay, what do I need to do to make this work the way that I want it to work? Well, I'm noticing that there are way too many highlights. So the way that I'm going to actually take care of this is with a local adjustment. So I'm just going to hit add adjustment, reduce my highlights, and I'm just going to paint over her face here and all of the areas that I think are just way too bright. All right. Now, I think this adjustment could be a little heavy-handed. So I'm just going to pull back on my opacity, and I think that that fits quite well. So just a slight little dim, get those highlights under control type of deal. Now, I am going to add one more local adjustment. I didn't do this the last time, but I'm realizing that maybe I should have. And I'm just going to increase some structure. And I'm going to put this all over her face. And the reason for this, we're going to be defocusing the photo essentially by adding a blur later down the line. And I just want to make sure that I have enough structure and detail in her face that when I do that, it's not going to like lose the structure of her face. All right. So I'll leave those alone. I'm not going to rename those for the sake of time, but I do recommend that you rename these so that way when you come back to them later, you know what it is that you are going back to. Now I'm going to click on my effects, and the next step is to add in the actual glow filter. Now I'm adding the glow right now because I know that that's going to move me in the right direction the fastest. You can add the glow whenever you feel like it and, you know, see what that does for you. But I personally think that by adding in the glow, and I crank up the amount pretty good here, right? And I actually changed the blend mode from soft light to darken. And what that does is it gives like this subtle softness. And that's what I'm going for. I'm going for a subtle softness. And I really enjoy modifying the effect in this way. So I'm going to leave that as it is and go ahead and come over here, add filter, and I'm going to add in another blur, but this time it's Gaussian blur, and you can see that this is way more aggressive than the glow filter, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. What I need to do here though is pull this down, or I'm sorry, I need to change my blend mode, and the blend mode that I went with here, I believe it was either overlay or soft light, and you can just see that it's bringing back some of that structure to the overall image, and we're going to fade this in here in a little bit. You can play around and make this however you want, and maybe we'll go with vivid light this time. And that could be okay, right? So the beauty of this is you can literally blend this into your image so you get the look that you're going for, and maybe something like there. And if it doesn't work, then what you can do is just come back over here and you can change your blend mode to whatever you think makes the most sense. So color burn looks kind of cool for the overall effect. And maybe you want to get something that looks a little bit more pencil artish, then this could be the effect that you go for, dark color. But I don't want that. I'm just trying to find something that's going to work well for this effect. And the bottom ones don't really do much of anything. You could use luminosity, but that's not going to really help with this effect. I want to darken pretty much everything and brighten the brightest areas. So you can use whatever one you want. I'm just sampling a few here. And you know what? I think I'm going to go with multiply, because I feel like multiply is giving me the look that I want to go for. And all I have to do is blend this in using my opacity slider to hit the space that I want to really work with. So all I have to do is mess around here a little bit, and maybe right around 75. I think that looks good. So turning it off and turning it back on, you can see it just softens down everything. So with that in place, what I can do is click on my mask, and I'm going to actually lower the opacity. And you remember I said that I wanted to keep the structure in the face? Well, this is one of those areas where I need to paint the mask away a little bit so she can receive some of that blur treatment, but I don't want the detailed areas, maybe even the hat here. I don't want to lose too much detail in her hands. And this is purely subjective, and this is where you would have to go and work on the image of yours and figure out what works well. But in a relatively short amount of time, we have a really nice portrait here. Now, I can continue moving on, and I can come down here, and I don't know why I'm not saving my brushes that I use. So let me just reset that, bring the exposure up, highlights, whites, and structure. We'll zoom into the eyes here. And I'm just going to paint in a little bit of clarity and light into her eyes with a local adjustment. So that way we are looking at her in her eyes, and you can just see it puts a little bit of pop into the eyes. Now, the problem is it's a little too strong, because if everything's supposed to be a little defocused, we should probably pull that back just a touch there. And I think that looks more appropriate overall with just drawing us into the eyes. So here is the before image, and here is the after image with the effect that we just created in a relatively short amount of time. Hopefully you found value in this tutorial. If you did, smash the like button, and if you're new here, consider subscribing. I create content regularly around ON1 Photo Raw, as well as other photo editing applications. Now, if you don't have ON1 Photo Raw or you're looking to upgrade and you want to save a little bit of money, consider using my coupon code FreeWillPhotos20. I make a small commission, but it's at no extra cost to you, and it helps me continue to make videos just like this on the channel. So until next time, I want you guys to stay inspired and keep creating. Peace.